This one who's busy with me now stands up. And as he stands up, because I was kneeling and he was right beside me, you know, with the gun on my head, the back of my head. He stands up, he goes to her, and then I think as he stood up, he had the bag with her. So he dropped the bag and then something fell. There was a mirror or a phone, something fell. And then she started screaming. Hey, and when she started screaming, the other one's like, hey, keep quiet, I'm gonna shoot you, I'm gonna shoot you.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel, The Maseos. I am Michelle.
And I am Ane de Maseo.
And today we have a story time, which we will dive into. Well, mainly Ane, I have one that I'll share at the end, but we have a story time where we will dive into our mugging experiences in South Africa and why we really love being in the UK. Because of that, you know, one of our top reasons of really preferring staying here right now and our move, and yeah, one of the biggest reasons we love the UK. So yeah, thank you for tuning in, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we hope you enjoyed today's video. So without wasting any more time, I'll give Anele a chance to explain his mugging experiences in South Africa.
Yeah, it's funny when you start speaking about mugging and you hear the siren go off in the background with the cops.
I wonder if that was audible actually.
Yeah.
That's very timely. But yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, no, I know quite a few people know the story, especially my students, and they would laugh at it. But I don't know. I remember it was actually my first lecture at UJ, and that was the first time I was going to lecture. I was so excited, I was so happy. Early in the morning, around 7:30, after getting off the train, I'm walking to UJ Doornfontein campus. Hey, as I'm walking, I'm all happy, and all I'm thinking about is what I'm gonna say, how my lecture is gonna go. Someone just came behind me and then just strangled me, but not tightly, like just held me.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, okay, who's this? Maybe someone, maybe a friend of mine, you know. So as I try to turn around, hey, this person starts gripping me really hard. And yeah, no, then I realized that no, I'm being strangled here. Something's going on. And as I'm trying to fight off this person, as I'm trying to fight him off, next thing I see 3 people in front of me now, and they're all punching me on my tummy. None of them punched me on my face, so they were all punching me on my tummy, and I'm wondering, hey, what's happening? Why are these guys beating me? And then as I'm trying now, I'm realizing that, hey, I need to get this one who's strangling me off me, you know, so that maybe I can run. So as I'm trying to fight them off there, and then there's one, what he did was I kicked him, and then he just kneed me on my tummy. Oh, then I felt all my breath just leave, you know. I became really weak. And then the 4th one came. He wasn't hitting me. He just started searching my pocket. And then only then do I realize there's a click that, oh, I'm getting mugged. Like, only then do I realize. And then, you know, I just basically just surrendered, you know, and they saw that I wasn't fighting anymore. So I know they just started searching my pockets. I had a lot of money in my wallet. I had like a little over 3,000 rand in my pocket, in my wallet. Yeah, because I was selling books and yeah, I was supposed to pay off people. So good lesson though, I stopped walking around with a lot of cash after that incident. But yeah, they didn't even check my bag for the laptop. They just saw that amount of money, you know. I heard the one.
Jackpot.
I was like, yo. And then all of them just left me and looked at him, and they all started walking, you know, with my cell phones and my wallet. So yeah, that was my experience in Joburg. That was 2018. Yeah, it was a Friday.
I just started, yeah, I think it was, I know I started working, so I was staying in Joburg as well, CBD. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Friday. It was the 22nd of February. Friday. So yeah, I remember that. That was the one incident. The other one was worse than that one.
Well, before you get into your other one, let me share mine in between so that there's a bit of balance. But I had like an attempted mugging. So I mean this is a story time, but I mean, I think you can, when I recount it, like even with just trying to share it, like my energy just feels quite low, because it's not a fun experience, to be honest. It's not like something that's pleasant, of course. It's not like something you can look back and laugh at or whatever. It's just one of those things you look back at and you're like super grateful that God kept us, we're alive, because yeah, crime is just, it's awful. But in my experience, when I was doing my articles and I started working, I would use taxis. So that's why I stayed in CBD, because the firm where I was doing my articles was based in Joburg, and luckily there were no clients outside of Gauteng. It was mainly really around Joburg. I think the furthest probably was like, I don't know, Kyalami, or maybe Pretoria probably was the furthest client we had, and Kempton Park was another one. So staying in CBD made sense, because if I had to travel from home, which was Springs, it would really be more expensive than just me staying closer to work and then being able to commute to clients using taxis. But I couldn't afford a car, and as well as rent on a trainee salary, to be honest. So yeah, taxis were efficient, but the problem is Joburg CBD is full of crime.
Yes.
It's full of crime, just like he's narrated his first story. And I would have to travel with my laptop, of course. I mean, I did try and use bags that were like kind of disguised, you know, and try and be subtle when I would walk home from the taxi rank, you know, to my apartment. But there was one day where I guess it wasn't as subtle. And there are spots in Joburg where, you know, you'll have the druggies really like frequent, like they have their spots, their corners, their areas. And unfortunately, the quickest route that got me to my apartment was to pass those druggies. So yeah, I had to pass that area one day, you know, as usual, walk quickly. Always walked quickly, very briskly. Like there was just never walking freely, like what we experience now in this country, which is so strange, where I've started to walk at ease. But being in Joburg, working, doing my articles during those 3 years I stayed, or 4 years I stayed in the city center, just always on the go, very quick, brisk walking. You don't have time to walk as if you're walking in your backyard. You don't stroll there. There's, especially as a woman, which I don't even want to get into. Like, I'm not going to go into those stories of being a woman in CBD or in Joburg or in South Africa, because I think a lot of our audience really is South African, and a lot of South African women, or those who stay in South Africa who are women, can attest to the fact that it's not a pleasant experience to be a woman in South Africa most of the time. You have a story to tell, unfortunately, and I have those. But anyway, coming back to my almost mugging story, I had to pass those druggies, and usually they're just in their own world. They're high, they're dazed, you know, like they're on, I don't know, busy with their injections. It's really a sad sight, to be honest. So I was just quickly passing by, but then there's one that just approached me from nowhere, and he was in my face. And he was pulling at my bag, and I was just taken aback. I was shocked because it had never happened before. And somehow I managed to like get away from him, but then he threatened to take out a gun. And like, he made it seem as if he was reaching for a gun, and it seemed like someone else was also going to join in. But I don't know what came over me. I just started running. Like, I literally ran all the way home to my apartment, just in shock, until I got to the door, and yeah, I just broke down crying. I didn't even bother to check behind me if they were still following me or whatever was happening. And you know, it's not like the route straight home or to my apartment didn't have multiple streets in between, because this is the city center. Like, I stayed right in the city center of Johannesburg. So there were multiple streets, taxis. I mean, I've actually been hit by a taxi. It's another story. I've been hit by a taxi. But like, luckily it wasn't too much of an impact, but it didn't happen on the day I was mugged. But like, those things can happen because taxi drivers also don't care. That's just yeah, staying in the CBD is just something else. So but by God's grace, like, I was just able to keep running through, and there were no like stops where I had to stop. Or maybe I was just so out of it I didn't realize, but I found myself running. And I think the distance from the taxi rank, because those druggies are close to the taxi rank, to my apartment was probably like a kilometer, I think. Just over a kilometer, or a bit less. Not too sure, but like, it was about a kilometer, and I just ran the whole way. And I was just so distraught, and luckily nothing happened. I was able to keep my laptop bag and my laptop intact. But yeah, that's how I almost got mugged. It was not fun. I mean, I guess we were able to move on past that.
Yeah.
I eventually, you know, got to see him, and he consoled me. I think my dad also ended up visiting me probably a few days later, just to check if I was okay. My mom was still working quite far at the time, but I eventually saw them, and yeah, life had to just go on. But that was life in South Africa, and that was my almost mugging experience. Yeah, so a bit of a heavy story time. So being here and just being able to walk freely is really such a blessing,
it's
and one of the reasons I really love being here in the UK. So yeah, back to you.
And you know, when you're speaking about this, it actually brings me back when I got mugged, and I was supposed to take my class. I ran back to the bank to block my card, and then I went back to work and spoke to the lecturer there, the HOD. And he was like, "Oh no, are you going to be able to take class?" I'm like, "Yeah." and I did take that class. It went fine. And then he said I must go to a psychologist on campus. I went to the psychologist on campus, and this thing is normal now. That's how bad it is. It was normal,
and so it's not a normal thing to happen.
So he asked me, starts asking me questions, and I tell him, "Hey man, look, I'm actually here. I just need you to sign the form that I'm here, you know, because I don't see how this is going to benefit me." He says, no, this is going to benefit you. Just give it a chance. I'm like, I lost 3,000 rands and 2 cell phones. Am I going to get those things back? And I looked at me like, no. Then I'm like, you see, so I don't think it's going to work, man. I'm from a Kasi. I was in Konzi, you know. So I had to move on with that. And it was very difficult for me walking around Joburg now. I was very suspicious as well. Yeah,
you become so paranoid and anxious, and it's no way to live. And also, even when we got married, sometimes when he was asleep, because I knew like he treated the whole psychology thing like, what is this going to do for me? But it was, now that experience was like embedded, and he would just jolt in his sleep and just like, you know, I think have night terrors or nightmares for a bit. So yeah, and that was that we got married in 2019. This incident happened in 2018, so you can imagine.
No, but remember, before we got married, I had another incident. A more traumatic one than that one.
Oh yes.
So that one, didn't really bring nightmares, but the second one did, because that one was heavy. That one was not even in Joburg. That was in Pollack Park.
So right at home.
Yeah, close to home.
Basically,
I was reading my Bible. It was Friday night, preparing for class tomorrow, the following morning at church, and then I got a phone call from a friend. She she stayed near where we stayed, you know, but just the other side. So she tells me, oh, the taxi didn't drop her off where it's supposed to drop her off. So can I meet her and walk with her? Because it was dark.
Yeah, as a woman, you know.
Yeah.
You just have to.
Hey, it was very bad. But because I had an experience already, and so what I did was I left my proper phone and I took it was a phone for like $50. You know, I took that small phone and I left everything valuable, and I went to her, got to her, we started speaking, we started walking, and yeah, we walked for quite a distance, and then just before we got to her house, I'm seeing two guys behind us and she's talking, and I'm trying to gauge what's going on behind us, because I see one guy, they separated, you know, the ones on the other side of the pavement, the other ones on the other side. And now I'm seeing them pick up pace, walking fast towards us. And as she's talking, when I look back and I see them come together now, and they're like really starting to like sort of like run now. I just grabbed her hand and we started running while she was talking. So she didn't know what's going on. And she's like, hey, what's going on? And hey, next thing I hear this guy load a gun. It's like, hey, no one running. And he tells me to kneel. I'm kneeling on the road. And she was in shock. She was in shock.
I'm exposed.
Was our experience, you know? So yeah, she stood, and then this guy was telling her to kneel, you know. So the one guy is with me telling me to kneel. I cooperate and I tell him, hey, please man, don't shoot me. He's like, no, kneel. And then he searches me, and then he finds my small phone, and then I had Kanye's bag. So he finds my small phone and he's really angry that I have that phone, you know.
Hello, Papa.
Yeah. He just hit me with the phone on my head.
Hello, Papa.
And then when the phone fell, and then the other one was struggling with the girl. He kept telling her, kneel, and hey, she wasn't. So this one who's busy with me now stands up. And as he stands up, because I was kneeling and he was right beside me, you know, with the gun on my head, the back of my head. He stands up, he goes to her, and then I think as he stood up, he had the bag with her. So he dropped the bag, and then something fell. There was a mirror or a phone, something fell, and then she started screaming. Hey, and when she started screaming, the other one's like, hey, keep quiet, I'm gonna shoot you. The one who was with me gets me to stand up and tells me to calm her down. And I hold her, I'm like, no, don't cry, it's okay. And she started screaming. And then that guy grabbed her and then just hit her with the gun right across the face, on the jaw. And she went out cold.
Yes.
And then, fortunately, then some woman started screaming, you know. And then her mom came out and started screaming as well. Like, oh, my daughter, hey. And then these guys started walking away. They weren't even running. They were just walked away.
There's just no fear. Like, it's just, hey guys, crime. No, this is not an upbeat video. I'm so sorry, but yeah, it's just you think about these things, and we have family we love so dearly in South Africa, and you think of crime, and just it makes me so sad, because I was so terrified after he told me that experience that I could have lost this person. And I don't know if we had started the whole Ebola thing already at that point.
Yeah, I think
so. Yeah, so we're planning to spend our lives together now. You know, excited, and then this thing happens, and you're grateful because he's alive, he's here. You know, material things come and go. Yes, he's lost 3,000 rands and stuff, but life is the most valuable thing. Yeah, you know, and having a daughter now as well. Just thinking, some of the things I've experienced in Joburg and things he's experienced, we don't want her to experience those things. So that's why we really love being here and being able to walk around freely, you know. I mean, even sometimes with exercising, I think we once stayed in a complex, and I was so happy that I was able to run adequately within the complex because there's security, you know, because running out also as a woman even if you want to have a fitness journey or like, you know, be active, it's not safe. It's either you go to the gym or you just have a yard where you do your own things or home workouts. You can't just be out, you know. Whereas here I can take walks, I can walk around freely, I can go to the gym in the morning when it's still dark. And I mean, at first when I did it, when we got here, I was like, oh, I would be checking behind me, I would be like paranoid, and probably they look at me and they're like, what's going on with this woman, is she okay? But hey, it's trauma. So
with my first walking experience, I walked to work and I'm seeing Google Maps now taking me, I was going to Old Trafford, taking me through it's a canal, and then there's like a railway on the side, and it was like a proper bush, you know, like a forest there. I'm like, hey, why is Google Maps taking me through this? And I see an old man walking there, and I walk up to him, start making conversation. And then I asked this old man, I'm like, hey, I'm going to Old Trafford, is this the right way? He's like, yeah, absolutely, just continue straight. I'm like, yeah, but I wanted to walk by the road because I don't know, is it safe around here to walk here? Like, yeah, it's safe, just make sure you don't fall in the water. I'm like, no,
that's not what I
don't fear the water, man, I'm fine with the water, it's people I fear. And he tells me, no, don't worry, man. None of those things happen here. He asked me, where are you from? I say, South Africa. Like, oh yeah, the crime's bad there. Like, yeah, it's like, no, none of those things. So it was a new experience, you know, a bit of a culture shock. I
think that's all for today's video, guys. I think you got a bit of perspective or understanding as to why we moved to the UK, why we love the UK, our mugging experiences, and just the importance of safety. It's just unfortunate there's not much more we can really do about it. You just have to also not live in fear, but also live very cautiously if you're in South Africa.
It's obviously parts of South Africa, you know. The videos doesn't speak about the whole of South Africa. I know this is our experience in CBD. And I just hope that maybe you have positive experiences. If you do, please share them in the comments below. We're not trying to scare anyone who's in South Africa or anything like that, but it's just our experience, and just highlighting why we really appreciate being here. I hope you learned something. I don't know if you can say enjoyed the video, but took away something, learned something. Maybe if you're in South Africa, you just maybe have more insight on how to like maybe be more safe, or if you're planning on moving here, maybe this is like a motivating factor to move here for the safety, because it really is safe. I mean, no place is 100%, you know, the world is the world, but it's very, very distinctively different.
It's distinctively different. So thank you.
And some stories don't end like ours. In South Africa, it's very common that stories don't end the way ours ended, you know. So we're grateful that ours ended the way they ended,
and we're here to tell the tale. That's all for today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.
Bye.